Hi guys, welcome back. Now let me ask you a simple question. Is it really the way it's meant to be played? Should you even consider AMD? I might have the answer. This was AMD's top-of-the-range card, often referred to as a Titan killer, armed and ready to compete with Nvidia's Kepler cards for the 2013 GPU crown. We know it had no trouble with the GTX 780, but how does it compare to the mighty 780 Ti that we looked at a couple of weeks ago? The 290X was released in October 2013 and priced at $549 and it was the best AMD had to offer in the R9 lineup. Of course, if we ignore the monster 295X2 that came out 6 months later. It was equipped with 4GB of GDDR5 memory clocked at 1250 MHz and used a massive 512-bit bus. The core was clocked at 1000 MHz and the card was rated for 290W TDP. Sapphire and other board partners also released a 8GB model of the 290X, however, those cards are significantly more expensive and harder to come by. My card used for today's testing is the Vapor X model, which I bought earlier this year for around £80 or just under $100. This card featured a special IFC switch that stops fans on both sides when the card sits idle or at very low loads. Sapphire extended the PCB at the top of the card and exposed it to a copper layer, which is attached directly to the heatsink. This alone apparently helps to drop temps by a few degrees. Another nice feature is the backlit Sapphire logo, which doubles as a temperature indicator, changing color from blue to yellow and red depending on the GPU temperature. What a card. Trust me when I say, the black and turquoise, I need to Google this. The theme looks better in person than on camera. Card feels premium and well put together. It's slightly more than 2 slots wide and requires 2 8-pin power connectors to run. Display connectivity includes HDMI, DisplayPort and 2 DVI ports. Let's start at the backplate by removing 4 spring-loaded screws and then additional 11 screws, plus another 2 at the I/O plate. When I said earlier it's well put together, I meant it. Card was holding together strong and plain simply refused to open. I started to doubt myself and double checked whether I missed any screws. I even went as far as to watch another YouTube video of someone opening this card until finally it snapped. Cooling is achieved by a vapor chamber with 5 heat pipes, one of which has 10mm in diameter. Sapphire used unusual looking black thermal pads for memory modules and the cooler itself weighs 774 grams or about 1.7 pounds. The 10th digital power design uses black diamond chokes and also features this aluminium heatsink with sapphire writing on it. I must admit, this is very impressive and pleasing to the eye. I don't think the previous owner ever cleaned this card. Let me get my trusty brush in action and get it cleaned and repasted. Easily one of the best looking boards on this channel. Do you agree? Okay, let's check the acoustics and thermals next. Under continuous load, the card peaked at just 70 C and pulled around 238 watts. Cooler noise was around 60 dB, which was okay and not unpleasant in any way. Let's finally put the 290X through some benchmarks, starting with Firestrike. The R9 290X scored well over 13,500 points, which makes it about 8% faster than the GTX 780 Ti. Heaven benchmark tells a different story. Here, the 290X scored 1,952 points, some 250 points or 17% slower than the 780 Ti. No pun intended, that's a tie. Let's play some games next. And we start off in Cyberpunk 2077. Doing my usual drive about with low settings, the 290X pushed 58.7 FPS on average. This means it's around 18% faster than the 780 Ti in this title. At medium settings, the average drops to 50.7 which is still more than playable. Geralt was up to no good again, and with ultra settings enabled and hair work disabled, I saw 57.7 FPS on average with the 290X. 780 Ti previously pushed 56.5 FPS, which was virtually the identical performance. Mafia Definitive Edition with medium settings was up next. The 290X had no trouble achieving well over 60 FPS on average and was around 11% faster than the GTX 780 Ti. Once again, the hand card ride in tunnels of Metro 2033 Redux was more challenging for the AMD card, averaging 68.2 FPS. The 780 Ti pushed around 6% more in this game. Red Dead Redemption 2 running Vulkan, and with the last tick of favor performance before balance setting, the 290X achieved nearly 74 FPS on average, which is mighty impressive. 780 Ti is behind by nearly 30% in this game at 57 FPS on average. When using balance preset, the 290X saw 60 FPS on average. Perfect. Not giving up on this game just yet. Beware with shadow distance set to 150, so just under 60 FPS on average with the 290X. The 780 Ti fared better here with 69.3 FPS, which is about 15% faster. Forza Horizon 4 with high settings had no trouble running on the 290X. At 99 FPS on average, it was time to crank the settings up to Ultra. Then, the average dropped to a still perfectly playable 68 FPS. This GPU really rocks. And closing off the game testing with some Call of Duty Modern Warfare. I'm not sure what I'm doing in this game, but using medium settings, the 290X pushes a solid 83 FPS on average. Game was very playable, not that I enjoyed what I was doing. Never settle, damn right AMD. The R9 290X won this round by not only being faster, but also about $150 cheaper than the 780 Ti. And with its extra 1GB of VRAM, it was more future-proof for newer games. Looking at the historical benchmark would suggest that the two were matched closely back in the day. AMD's GCN seems to age slightly better than Kepler, but one must not forget, AMD dropped any support for 290X back in June 2021, leaving room for improvement only via the community-driven Nimes drivers. So, does the 290X work as a GPU in 2022? I'd say yes, it does, but only just. It's still as power hungry at times as was the 780 Ti, and its limited DirectX 12 support doesn't help either. On the other hand, I feel like this card still has ample performance for even the latest games if you are sensible with settings. This particular 290X was nice to use, and part of me even thinks I should have pushed it harder with some aggressive overclock to really see its potential. Have you ever owned an R9 290X? And if so, which model was it? But that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one.